Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. My name is Rev. Hayashi, and I'm currently serving at Ekoji Buddhist Temple in Virginia. First of all, I want to begin by expressing my gratitude to Rev. Akahoshi and the Sangha of Buddhist Temple of San Diego for inviting me to participate in your Ho-Onko this year. Being on the East Coast, it takes time, days, and of course money to travel to the West Coast. But the development of the virtual technology we have today made it possible for me to be part of your Ho-Onko and share my thoughts on the Buddhist teaching. This special observance of Ho-Onko marks the death of Shinnan Shonin, the founder of Shin Buddhism. Ho-Onko literally means Dharma gathering for acknowledging indebtedness, which truly reflects our appreciation for Shinnan's teaching and his life. Shinnan began his career as a monk on Mount Hiei, the headquarters of the dominant Tendai school of Buddhism, at the age of 9 to seek spiritual liberation or enlightenment. He spent night after night for 20 years, poring over the sutras and performing austerities, but eventually realized how impossible it will be for him to continue to follow such a path. As he began to sense how difficult it will be for him to follow the path of sages by cultivating the mind and heart, and how impossible it was to attain enlightenment through austerities, he was gradually drawn into the Pure Land teaching, the Nembutsu path. The Nembutsu path is a path that could be pursued by anyone, whether as an ordinary member of society, married with a family, or as a celibate renunciant. And lay people and the ordained are equal on the path. What Shinnan saw as his main problem in spreading the Pure Land teaching was the unawareness of all people. The second of the Four Noble Truths, taught by the historical Buddha Shakyamuni, indicates our blind desires as a primary cause of humans' stress and suffering. The representative of blind desires is called three poisons that are greed, hatred, and ignorance. Especially ignorance is said to be the fundamental basis of all suffering. Ignorance in Buddhism does not mean that we are dumb, but refers to our foolishness and delusions. The word ignorant is a description of being unaware, not being conscious in our lives of what is moving us on a moment-to-moment level. We usually think that we are aware of our motivations and of why we do everything that we do. However, that may not be the case. For example, I have a son and his name is Daichi, and I try to teach him to respond whenever I call him. It may be because of his horrible threes, but lately he would refuse to do so. He would even sometimes ignore me. So I have to tell him over and over again the importance to respond. The other day, like always, my son didn't respond, so I told him again to do so. Then I heard my wife mumbling, "You don't always respond either." I was unaware that I also did not respond until my wife told me so. In spite of that, I demanded my son to respond to me. As the saying goes, children grow up watching their parents. Perhaps I was the reason of why my son does not respond. I think everyone has had a similar experience where you realize your unawareness, but our unawareness can also cause a bigger problem. For example, think of the global warming. Most scientists today say that global warming is real and has been caused by human actions. We live in a global capitalistic world where aggressive developments are promoted to prosper the agriculture and dairy farming industry. As a result, we have been more and more aggressive towards nature through deforestation, pollution, burning fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. This not only caused global climate change, such as loss of sea ice, accelerated sea level rise, and longer, more intense heat wave, but also causes more frequent wildfires, long periods of drought, and an increase in the number, duration, and intensity of tropical storms. Therefore, our unawareness allowed us to exploit nature excessively to get as much benefit as we can without even thinking of the future and only for our convenience and our own sake. As a result, we are now in a critical circumstance. Nevertheless, we tend to think ourselves as victims. A famous Shin Buddhist scholar, Rev.Nariaki Soga, once said, "We are not aware of how we are made to suffer, but we are aware of how we suffer. We are not aware of how we are made to suffer, but we are aware of how we suffer." In the case of climate change, we are not aware of how we are the cause of climate change, but we are aware of how we suffer from climate change. However, what we should be doing is to see how we are the cause of climate change. This is when awareness is born within ourselves, and when we are aware, then we come to see how we should live best. However, doing this is not easy. No one wants to think how they are the cause of climate change. In fact, no one wants to think that they are the cause of their own suffering. No one wants to think how they have to change. If we had a profound wisdom like Shakyamuni Buddha, we might not have any problems. We might even be able to remove our blind desires that causes our problems and the unwillingness to change. However, for ordinary beings with limited wisdom, it is extremely difficult to do so. Of course, Shinnan was human like us, so he must have had a similar problem, and maybe that was why he gave up on those austerities on Mount Hiei. He also did so because he encountered a path that did not require him to remove his blind desires, but a path that allowed him to live his life along with his blind desires. This is the Nembutsu path. There's a Shin Buddhist saying that goes, "The truth is that the truth works on the untruth, and as it makes us aware that the untruths are untrue, it has the power to transform it into the truth." Again, the truth is that the truth works on the untruth, and as it makes us aware that the untruths are untrue, it has the power to transform it into the truth. The truth is the opposite of untruth, but they are never separate concepts. Truth and untruth are like two sides of a coin. Truth exists because the opposite of untruth exists. A thought in this way, it can be said that the truth is always with us. Truth is Buddha, and Buddha is always trying to awaken us. This is wisdom. Wisdom is that which we receive that awakens us to and makes us aware of our blind desires. What we realize through the wisdom is that we cannot escape completely from our ignorance. But there is the compassion of Buddha that embraces us no matter what. Another Shin Buddhist scholar, Reverend Shojun Bando, says, "Wisdom and compassion itself is Buddha. Wisdom and compassion itself is Buddha." Therefore, it is not that a Buddha becomes a wisdom and compassion and works on us, but the wisdom and compassion that works on us itself is Buddha. Buddha, that is the wisdom and compassion, is Amida Buddha. Wisdom and compassion are not separate aspects, but wisdom is accompanied by compassion. We need to receive both the wisdom that awakens us to our true self and the compassion that supports us no matter what. It is when we encounter the compassion that we can securely accept and become aware of our blind desires revealed by the wisdom. Compassion is explained in the largest sutra as, without being asked to do so, Buddha becomes a good friend to each of the multitude of beings and carries their heavy karmic burdens. Therefore, compassion is a commitment and promise of Buddha that even if his shoulder should be crushed by our heavy karmic burdens, he will bear it and never abandon us. That is to say, Amida Buddha would carry our burdens as his own. This is compassion. We can encounter this wisdom and compassion through the saying of the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu. It is because reciting Amida Buddha's name, Namo Amida Butsu, is our action, but it is at the same time the action of Amida Buddha. Thus, Shinnan says that Nembutsu is the call of Amida Buddha. That is, it is not we who call on Amida, but Amida calling on us through us. Therefore, saying the Nembutsu is to be illumined by the wisdom and compassion. That is to say, when we are illumined by the bright wisdom, our blind desires are revealed. And when the wisdom reveals our blind desires, we are given the opportunity to become aware of them. This is to receive the wisdom. In addition, although we cannot overcome our blind desires perfectly with our imperfect selves, we are never to be abandoned. This is to be embraced by the compassion. It is the wisdom and compassion that enables us to live fully without being discouraged or without losing the path of spiritual liberation. Therefore, the Pure Land teaching, the Nembutsu path taught by Shinnan, does not teach us how to avoid suffering, but how we can live with the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha in the midst of suffering. Please join me in Gassho. By reciting the Nembutsu, Namo Amida Butsu, we are reminded what makes our individual lives even more meaningful, and we are also reminded the Dharma in times of need. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu.